We are now approaching on the last week of how Jesus spent the last week of his life. And our gospel for today speaks about the conflict between Jesus and the ruling authorities during the time, especially the Pharisees and some of the chief priests. The reason of the conflict was the Pharisees and some of the chief priests were threatened by the growing popularity of Jesus. Jesus had so many followers, so many believers. If you notice the opening statement of the gospel, many believe in him. So, because of this, they planned to silence Jesus by planning to kill him. Because he's performing signs and wonders and people believe in him. And because of that, the chief priests and the Pharisees, they're looking for an opportunity to kill Jesus. Because if they will not do it, they will lose their power, their status, their influence, and their power. That's why they're asking, what are we going to do? If we let him go on like this, everyone will believe in him, and the Romans will come to destroy both our holy place and our nations. So they are afraid to be taken away from power. What is the gospel is trying to tell us in our situation nowadays? In our society, there are some people who are afraid to be taken away from the seat of power. There are countries or nations that leaders are afraid to be removed from the seat of prestige. There are individuals who are hunger for power, and they are those who find ways, even wicked ways, even evil ways, just to maintain their status, and they manipulate the people to save their wicked plans. And I've realized, based on my reflection, hunger for power makes one a monster. If a priest is hunger for power, he is not a good shepherd. Hunger for power is a path to self-destruction. If a leader is hunger for power, people will suffer. When a leader of a certain nation or a country or a church is threatened by the growing popularity of an opposition, chaos will possibly happen. If someone is threatened by the popularity of someone, people will be divided. They will be scattered. Nations will surely collapse. That's why in our first reading, kingdoms were divided. That's why the Lord promised Ezekiel a leader to unite them. God promised Ezekiel that someone will come to unite the divided kingdoms of Israel. And lesson we need to learn today is this. You know what, my dear parishioners? We need to be proud and be grateful of the success of others. We need to rejoice when others are doing great, not to be threatened by their popularity. We need to celebrate when others are promoted. Because sometimes there is a human tendency in us, when others were promoted, we share bad stories about this person. He was promoted because he was this, like that. When others are doing well, it means they have a potential to do more. But the problem with these Jewish authorities, they're trying to kill Jesus because his popularity is threatened their status. And that's why they're planning to kill him. And we're going to listen to that story in these coming days. As we enter the season of the Holy Week, let us unite our prayers together so that our leaders, both the church leaders and the civic leaders, may work together for the safety and the unity of people. Because we have to remember, when a leader is hunger for power, that leader will turn to be a monster. When our leaders are afraid to be taken away from their seat of honor, from the place of pedestal, nations will be divided like what happened in our first reading for today. And this is the grace that we ask today. That we may have a leader, a good shepherd, like what our responsory psalm is telling us, a leader that will guard us like a shepherd guiding